Hey everyone, welcome back to Walk with Neil, where we talk leadership, technology, and building great teams. I'm Neil Bay, an experienced leader operating in a fractional CTO capacity. I bring startup speed to enterprise scale, helping companies build smarter, more scalable tech foundations. If you had to watch a video of mine, this is it. Today's question is one every leader or aspiring leader or even employee should be asking. What kind of leader or manager are you? Or what kind of leader or manager do you thrive under? Let's talk about how leadership behavior, executive pitfalls, and team engagement all tie back to something many of us, particularly in tech, know well: system architecture design. You'll see shortly how this tech analogy relates back to leadership. In system architecture, you have two main types of approaches for transferring information: push and pull systems. Some systems are designed to pull data. They reach out and request updates from another system, and others are push-based. They automatically send updates out when something changes. Leadership mirrors this almost exactly. There are leaders who actively pull, they're engaged, ask questions, support without micromanaging. They proactively seek information and make time to understand what's happening on the ground. Done well, these are the servant leaders who unblock and empower. But again, there's a fine line. Too much pull becomes micromanagement. You want to stay close without crowding your team. The best pull leaders offer their presence and guidance, but still give autonomy. Then there are the push leaders. They're more hands-off. They expect you to surface updates and drive the communication. If you don't make the effort to keep them in the loop, they may not know what's going on until something goes wrong. This is where my API analogy really comes in. If you work for a pull style leader, you're essentially the API. They figured out how to connect to you and request the data they need. But if you work with a push style leader, you need to figure out their API, their preferred communication format, frequency, and language to ensure they're getting the signal they need to make informed decisions. If you're the leader or manager, it's your job to design how your team interfaces with you. You need consistent pathways for signal to surface. Now, there's a third category, and this one's tricky: passive versus perception leaders. A passive leader might be deliberately giving you space. They're not checking in every day, but they trust you or are just underwater. Ideally, they show up when it counts. They step in when something breaks or you miss a deliverable. Minus the regular interfaces or check-ins you might see with a pull-style leader. That's not inherently a problem, especially if the team is strong and feels supported when needed. But the perception leader, that's something else. They're disengaged from the day-to-day, but they're managing up, creating a polished, high-visibility image for their boss or board. They take credit when things go well, but distance themselves or assign blame when something goes wrong. When you see your leader taking credit without contributing and blaming others when things blow up, you stop believing in the system. Trust breaks down, morale erodes, people start quietly disengaging. The team knows which one that leader is, but who that leader reports to may not. As a leader, you also might show up differently in any one of these categories to different direct reports. The key is to be intentional and make sure every person on your team gets what they need to succeed, and that the system you're creating consistently surfaces signal. According to a 2015 corporate executive board study, 50 to 70% of new executives fail within the first 18 months. That is shocking. Look it up. Let's look at the why and tie it back to my push-pull categorization of work styles. Another survey study from a company called Navalent in the same time period identified 4 common traps leaders fall into impacting their success. The first is the mandate bait. This is when a new exec walks in and tries to replicate what worked in their last role. Same strategies, same playbook, without first understanding the new environment. Sometimes these old strategies can work, but only if you adapt them. You got to mold them to the situation. You also need to know when a past strategy just isn't going to fit. Often, leadership relies on experimentation when in new territory. So try a proof of concept, test it in a small corner of the org, learn, tweak, and then scale. Before I go into the second trap, I want to just show you this place behind me, which is truly Brooklyn and bizarre. The second trap, going back to our topic, is stakeholder blindness. A lot of rising leaders underestimate how much they need others like peers or partners. Your success depends on relationships. You'll need to be intentional about how you engage with your stakeholders. Again, think of the push-pull concepts I talked about earlier. Are you providing the right updates? Are you creating space for feedback? Are you building trust before the fire drill? This is just as important with stakeholders as it is with your team. The third trap is altitude distortion. When you rise in the org, everything changes. Every comment, every decision is amplified, and what you hear becomes more filtered. People want to please you, so they sanitize the data, and that can make decision-making incredibly risky if you don't design for it. You've heard me talk in earlier videos about creating the right knobs and levers. You'll need systems that give you visibility. This could be how you organize your team or departments, dashboards, structured check-ins, process clarity. You need a design structure that gives you oversight. A great tip for getting by that filtered perspective is to rely on embedded touch points. What do I mean by that? Well, you might be having project management who's deep in the weeds, an account rep from your consulting partner, someone who's hearing from their own embedded staff who can spot dysfunction early, whether it's interpersonal drama, process gaps, or confusion about goals. These people often have unfiltered truth if you're willing to listen. And the fourth trap, power failure. Some managers or execs are afraid of using power. They default to indecision or pass responsibility to others. This version of power failure applies to my third category of leaders I talked about earlier, which is perception leaders, who mostly manage up, often blame, or are absent down. Again, the result can be the team suffers, morale declines, teams disengage. So what's the big takeaway? Leadership is like system architecture. You need systems that scale your awareness, structures that surface signal, and interfaces that actually work for your team and stakeholders. You don't have to get it perfect, but you do have to design for it. So that's all I got for you. Thanks for walking with me. If this episode helped clarify something or gave you a new perspective, drop me a comment, share it, or send it to someone navigating a tough leadership transition. If your company needs help designing better systems from tech architecture to team structure, I'd love to help. Reach out anytime at neilbay.com or DM me. And I'll see you in the next Walk with Neil. Keep walking. Take care.